Okay, so Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm going to be covering, it's just going to be like half an hour lessons, inshallah. I'm going to try to do it every Thursday, same time. So today I started a bit late because I had a bit of a problem with setting it up. But alhamdulillah, inshallah, it's done now. Okay, so this is what we're going to be covering. Matan al-Ajurrumiyya or al-Ajurrumiyya, however you want to say it. I'm not going to go into the background of the author or anything. I'm not spend too much time on that. That's something you can read up somewhere else. I'm just going to start with the text, inshallah. So, let's just put this text. Right, so the text says this. قال المصنف رحمه الله أنواع الكلام. So, أنواع الكلام, basically what this is talking about is, it's talking about types of sentences. So when you study the Arabic language, you have to remember that Arabic language deals with words and sentences. I don't know how many of you guys have studied a language before, but when you study a language, you have to learn about sentences, you've got to learn about words, you've got to learn about all these things. Okay, so you've got to learn about all these things. So what we're going to be focusing on is just the text. I'm not going to go too much into depth of Arabic grammar because this is a beginner's book, and I know that there's some commentaries who go into a lot of depth with this book, but I don't really see benefit of going into too much depth with this. Okay, so anyway, so Anwa'ul Kalam. So first of all, let's look at what sentences are. A sentence is basically, right, something like, if I was to write, let's say, Zaid is a man. Okay, this is what we call a sentence. In Arabic, you call this thing a kalam. Call it a kalam. The individual words in a sentence are known as kalimas. Kalimas. So Zaid is a kalima. Is a kalima. A man is a kalima. For instance, for argument's sake, just to show you how this works. So this is what we call, it's what we call a kalam and a kalima. So when he says kalam, okay, what he's basically referring to is, he's referring to this concept, okay, of sentences and words. So you have some sentences and you have some words. Okay, so he says anwa'ul kalam. So in this Anwa'ul Kalam, he's going to be talking about the different types of sentences. Anwa'ul Kalam. However, before he talks about sentences, he's got to talk about the single parts of the sentences themselves. So he says types of kalam, types of sentences. And in Arabic, there's actually a specific type of definition for what a sentence is. So he says, هو اللفظ المركب المفيد بالوضع. So, alright, so here he says, Al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wada'. So he says, kalam, a sentence, is something that's uttered. Lafadh means something that's uttered, something that's said. Like, for instance, I just showed you here. Zaid is a man. So that's something that's uttered. Yeah, it's something that's said. Right? And Zaid itself is a lafadh. Is a lafadh. Is a lafaz, and a man is a lafaz. So he says kalam is something that's uttered. Al-murakkab, which is composed, it's made up of something. So murakkab means when you put two or more things together, a composition. So an utterance, a speech, or something that's said, which is composed, and mufid bil wada', and it gives a meaning. In other words, at the end of it, there's no question left. So Zaid is a man. This is what we call a sentence in English. If I was to cross out that, if I just said to you Zaid, yeah, if I said to you just the word Zaid on its own, then that word on its own is not a complete sentence. Yeah, it's not what we call mufid bil wada'. In other words, it doesn't give you the full meaning of what I'm talking about. So this is why he says that it has to be mufid bil wada. In other words, Zaid on its own is not a kalam, it's not a complete sentence. And if I was to cross out a man, then Zaid is not a complete sentence. There has to be all of these words put together for a complete sentence. Yeah, all of these things have to be put together for a sentence to be considered to be complete. So this is why he says, al-kalamu huwa al-lafdhu al-murakkabu al-mufidu bil-wada. In other words, in Arabic, when they say a kalam, a sentence, it means something that's uttered, it's made up of more than one part, and it's mufid bil-wada. That when that whole thing is said, the guy that's listening, the second person, understands what you're talking about. So let me just give you an example. Okay, so my friends on Facebook are very nice people. Okay, so if I was to say to you, where does this sentence end? Where would you say it's a right place to finish the sentence? So you'd probably say it ends over there, where that full stop is. So in English, we have a full stop for a complete sentence. My friends on Facebook are very nice people. So all of this would be called a kalam. My is a kalima, friends is a kalima, on is a kalima, Facebook is a kalima, very are is a kalima, very is a kalima, nice is a kalima, people are kalima. Okay, again, from sometimes, where would you say is a nice place to stop? Where would you say it's a complete sentence that you understand what I'm talking about? So what I would say is up to here. Sometimes they make me laugh. So sometimes they make me laugh. That's a kalam as well. Yeah, why? Because number one, it's a lafz, it's something that's uttered. Number two, it's made up of more than one word. And number three, by the time I reach the full stop, you've understood what I've said. Yeah, you've understood something. And from what, where would you say is a nice place to stop? Okay, you would say up to food. Yeah, what is your favorite type of food? So that's a nice place to stop. Hence, all of this you'd call it a kalam. Are you guys with me? You guys understanding or not? Can you hear? I have no idea if you guys can hear or not, or Wallahu alam. Yeah, but I hope you can hear. And if you can't hear, then I make dua to Allah Ta'ala that Allah makes you guys hear, inshallah. Okay, so this is basically what a kalam is, right? It's basically three things. Something that's uttered, it has to be made up of more than one part. There has to be at least two or more components. And at the end of it, you need to reach such a point where you know what the other person's saying. It makes sense. Okay, so anyway, let's carry on then. So don't. So from don't, where would you say, after the word don't, where would you say that it's a complete sentence? In other words, where would you say it's a kalam? Okay, so you would say, or I would say, it's up to, don't worry, yeah, up to there. Even though I haven't put a full stop. Yeah, don't worry. So don't worry itself is a complete sentence. It's made up of two parts. And from I'm, where would you say it's a kalam? So I'm not going to come to your house. Yeah, it's a complete sentence again. And from unless you invite and post me the menu. Yeah, that's a complete sentence. Yeah, get the hint, guys. So these all are what we call kalams in Arabic. So in Arabic, when we look at, let's say, the Quran, in the Quran, any sentence that's mentioned in the Quran, then that sentence is called a kalam. And otherwise, if it's not a kalam, then each individual, we call it a kalima. We call it a kalima. Okay. So this is a kalam, huwa al-lafz al-murakkab al-mufid bil-wada. So words made up of that. Now, kalam, the kalam itself, he hasn't mentioned it here, but it's going to mention later on, and we'll talk about that later on. Different types of kalam. Anyway, finished up to there. Next. Now, you see these individual components in a sentence. When you have individual components in a sentence, let me just make this screen a bit bigger. Okay, so you can see more. Okay, so when you have individual components in a sentence, these components, right? So kalima are of three types. In Arabic, there are only three types of kalimas that you can get. Okay, three types of kalimas that you can get. You get something which is known as an ism. Okay, so you have ism, and you have a fi'l, and you have a what you call a harf. In English, we call these nouns. Okay, nouns. We have verbs, and we have particles. Okay, so nouns, verbs, and particles. So now what the author of the book he wants to talk about is these individual components, because if you don't know what the individual components are, then you're not going to know what a kalam is. It's like if you don't know what biryani is made up of, you won't be able to make it. Yeah, you can't just stand in the kitchen and dance around for an hour or so, or however long it takes, and then expect biryani to be ready. You need to know the ingredients so that you can make it. So this is why in Arabic grammar books, they'll start off with telling you about what the kalam is made up of. So it's made up of ism, nouns, verbs, and particles. So let's go back to this then. Okay. So here it says, أقسامه ثلاثة. It's types. It's referring to the lafaz. Yeah. It, or it can be talking about the kalam as well. Yeah. Kalam or the lafaz or whatever. In other words, there's three types. In other words, the kalam is made up of three parts. So you have ism, fi'l, and harf. Okay, so ism, fi'l, and harf. So what is an ism? An ism is basically a noun. You know, if you go to this English one over here, right, it says, my friends on Facebook are very nice people. Sometimes they make me laugh. So in this sentence, you have words which we call isms, nouns. Yeah, a noun basically is a word which has the meaning of something. So it has the meaning of something, but does not mean past, present, or future. Let me explain another way. In this sentence, we have the word make, they make me laugh. So laughing is actually an action. Yeah. So actions are verbs. Something that's not an action, right? Something that's not an action, but it has a meaning. For example, like the word my. Yeah. You know what that means? It means my friends. Yeah. You know what that means? Facebook. Everyone knows what that means. Very. You know what that means? Nice. You know what that means? People. You know what that means? So all these words are what we call isms. So an ism is a word which has a meaning but is not attached to past, present, or future. They make me laugh. That's attached to a time, that is. Yeah. Again, what is your favorite type of food? Yeah. So what is your favorite type of food? Yeah. What? You know what that means? Yeah. Your. You know what that means? Favorite. You know what that means? Type. You know what that means? Food. You know what that means? So all of these are isms. Don't worry. Let me change the color of this. I think it's getting a bit confusing. So make sure it's green. Okay, don't worry. Make me laugh. Those are verbs there. Don't worry. Yeah, in the future, I tell you, don't worry. I'm not going to. So going has the meaning of a verb and action. To come is a verb. You invite is a verb. Post is a verb. So these are all verbs. These are all what we call fi'ls. So the blue ones are the isms. The green one are the fi'ls. Anything that's left besides that. Yeah, anything that's left besides that. For example, like on, or, is, of, not, to, and, These are in Arabic, these are known as, the purple ones are known as harfs. So something that's not an ism, something that's not a fi'l is known as a harf. Okay, so let's go back to this then. Make sense, guys? So let's go back to this. So أقسامه ثلاثة. أقسامه ثلاثة means that its types, their types are three. Every word in the Arabic language is either an ism, a fi'l, or a harf. It can't be a fourth one. It cannot be a fourth one. So everyone understand it up to there? Everyone seems to be happy with that? Or you're not happy? Okay, hope you guys are happy with this. Inshallah. Okay, anyway. Next. Now it says over here, harfun ja'a lima'nan. See what in Arabic, you know when you say harf, technically, if you look in the books of language, of dictionaries, harf is of two types. One is like what we call alif, ba, ta, tha, jim. Those are harfs they are. Those are known as building blocks or alphabet. In Arabic they call them mabani. So he says that when I say harf, I don't mean these harfs. I'm talking about the other harfs which come for a purpose, which come for a meaning. Yeah, so alif doesn't have a meaning, ba doesn't have a meaning, ta doesn't have a meaning, tha doesn't necessarily have a meaning. It's just the letter of the alphabet. But he says the second type of harfs in Arabic, they do have meanings. For example, like in Arabic, you have a word which is fi. Now, fi is made up of two letters, fa and ya, but it has a meaning of in. Or for example, like min. Or for example, like hal, is. Yeah. So all these things, these have meanings in themselves. So these are known as harf al-ma'ani. Ma'ani, particles, what we call. So in English, when we say particles, this is what we're referring to. In English, when we say letters, this is what we're referring to. Yeah. So we're not going to be dealing with letters in Arabic grammar. Yeah, we're going to be dealing with particles, these ones. Okay, so this is why he says that three types: isms, fi'ls, and harfs. Ja'a lima'nan. Harf which has come for a meaning. Yeah, harf that has come for a meaning. Meaning, he's talking about particles. Okay, anyway, that's the second part of the lesson. The third part of the lesson is, now we need to identify. Let's say, for example, this is your first time you're studying Arabic grammar. Now, what you need to do is you need to identify what is an ism, what is a fi'l, what is a harf. So, what are the signs? So here he mentions 4 signs to identify an ism. So 4 signs to identify an ism. Al-ismu yu'rafu. A noun is recognized by 4 things. Okay, so let me just bring this. Do this. All right. Anyway, so let me just try and highlight it then. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. 4 signs to identify a noun in Arabic. So what are the 4 signs to identify a noun? Okay, so the first way that we identify nouns, let me increase the size of the page. Okay, the first way to identify, number 1, is what we call khafd. Khafd is basically a state. Okay, khafd is basically a state. For example, like, let's say there's a woman, her name is Zainab. Okay, her name is Zainab. When she's in the school, her state is that she is called a teacher. Yeah, she is called a teacher. However, when she is, let's say, at home, her state is that she is known as mum. Yeah? So these are different states. So in other words, in Arabic, you have 3 states that words fall into. Yeah, 3 states that words fall into. A word can either be what is known as marfu state, mansoob state, or majroor state. Yeah, so imagine, let's say, okay, so at school she's a teacher, at home she's a mum, and let's say in the shop she's a customer. 3 states we have. So in other words, this same Zainab, when she goes to the school, she has a particular state. When she goes to home, she's known as mum, and when she's at the shop, she's known as customer. So like that, in the Arabic language, words have various states. So there's a marfu state, there's a mansoob state, and there's a majroor state. Another word for majroor state, majroor, is khafd. Makhfood, khafd. Okay, so just bear that in mind, and as you go through, this is going to become more and more clear. And like I said before, this is the first lesson. So the first lesson might be a little overwhelming for some of you guys, but don't worry, just keep trying. So khafd, in other words, if a word appears in the khafd state, majroor state, that's a sign that it's a noun, because verbs and particles are never khafd state. Never occur in the majroor state. So I'm not going to go into detail at the moment about khafd, because that's something that's going to be cleared up later on. Okay, number 2. The second thing that he mentions is something called tanween. So tanween is basically, these are known as vowels. Yeah, these are vowels, these are. So you have this, which is known as a dhamma. You have this, which is known as a fatha. And you have this, which is known as a kasra. Tanween is when you have double of these. So if you have double dhamma, it's known as tanween. If you have double fatha, it's known as tanween. If you have double kasra, it's known as tanween. So tanween simply means double dhamma, double fatha, or double kasra. Simple as that. Okay, so a noun can only have tanween. So if you see a word, for example, let's look at this. Oh, look over here. Yeah, there's a tanween there. So that means the word thalatha has to be an ism. The word fi'l has to be an ism. The word harf has to be an ism. Let's go down. Let's check if there's any more over here. Okay, can't see any more. So these are all known as isms. In other words, anything which has a tanween is an ism, because verbs cannot take them, nor can particles. Okay, number 3, the third thing now, is al. Al, okay, alif lam, this is also a sign of an ism. Al only appears at the beginning of nouns, right? So, for example, like, yeah, you know, sometimes you go to an Arab restaurant, al-kebab house, yeah, al, you put al there. Yeah. So this al, like over here, al-kalam, al-lafaz, al-murakkab, al-mufid, al is al there, al-ism, al-khafd, al. So these als at the beginning of words, yeah, these are all signs that the word is a noun. Okay, so whenever you get this, flip open the Quran, look through it, and you'll see it inside any word that has al at the beginning, automatically it's an ism, because verbs can't take them and particles can't take them. And finally, number 4, the fourth sign is that a word has one of the particles of jar. Yeah, this is a type of particle, okay? It's a jar particle, what we call a preposition. Preposition. So, prepositions, he lists them. So I'm going to show you where he lists them. Okay, he says the prepositions are min, ila, an, ala, fi, rubba, ba, kaf, lam. Yeah. And huruf al-qasam. Yeah. So huruf al-qasam, which are 3 types, waw, ba, and ta. Yeah. So these are some of them. These aren't all of them. These are most of them. So in other words, if any one of these particles, min, which is usually used for the meaning of from, you know, when you say I came from London, that from. Ila, which means to, I came from London to Birmingham. An, which has the meaning of about, I read about the book, about. Ala, upon, the book is upon or on the shelf. Fi, in, the book is in the bag. Rubba, few or sometimes. Al-ba, ba here refers to preposition. So ba, not the letter ba as in, you know, alif, ba, ta, not that. Because when we don't deal with those, we deal with particles. So ba here comes with the meaning of with. Yeah, with. In other words, I went with Zainab to the shop. Kaf, again, this doesn't refer to the Arabic alphabet. It refers to particle, which has the meaning of like. If I say, this pen is like that pen. Like. Lam, again, it's not a alphabet letter, it's a particle. So this lam means lam as in for. Okay, if I say, this book is for Zaid. Yeah? This book is for Zaid. So you use li in Arabic. Li. Okay, huruf al-qasam, these are 3 letters he's saying. 3, not letters, particles. Huruf al-qasam is like letters we use for oaths. You probably heard everyone say, wallahi, wallahi, wallahi. Well, that wa is actually a preposition. Billahi, tallahi. So these are 3 particles that the Arabs use for swearing oaths. The common one that we're used to is wa, wallahi. Billahi, now this isn't the same bi as this. Right, so these are 2 different. This bi means with, and this bi means oath. Okay, all of these are oath, oath, oath. So there's 3 types of particles they use for oaths. And ta, again, it's not a alphabet letter, it's a particle. So tallahi, okay, like in the Quran, Allah says, tallahi la'akidanna asnamakum. Ibrahim alayhi salam says, by Allah, I will destroy these idols. Tallahi tafta'u tadhkuru Yusuf hatta takuna haradan. So the sons of Yusuf say to the father of Yusuf alayhi salam. So these are different, so don't get this ba confused with this ba, different ones. So anyway, if one of these occurs before any word, that's a sign that it's a noun, it's an ism. So let's look for some of these here. So okay. Let's see. Okay, oh, look at that. We've got one there. Bil khafd. So that tells us the word khafd is a noun. Oh, and look at this. We've actually got 2 signs. We've got 2 signs of a noun from before, al and khafadi. Yeah. The kasra sign, which is a majroor khafd. Okay, so we've got that there. And that's that. Bil wada. Yeah, you got bil wada there as well. So these are 2 prepositions that are used. So in other words, these are 4 signs of nouns. If you get any of these 4 signs before any word, know that that word is a noun. Okay, next. Now the verb, when you got a verb, sometimes verb has symbols or signs to show that they're a verb. So here, for the symbols, he mentions 4 things. Okay, let's choose a different color. So, number 1, if a word has qad. Okay, so if a word has qad before it, qad, number 1, then the word that comes after it is going to be a verb. Like, qad aflahal mu'minun in the Quran. Qad. Okay, so you don't get a qad before a noun. Number 2, if you get a seen. Now this seen is not an alphabetic letter, it's a particle. Okay, so for example, kalla سَيَعْلَمُونَ. You probably heard it in the surah. كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ ثُمَّ كَلَّا سَيَعْلَمُونَ. That sa, yeah, it means soon. So in other words, the word after it is going to be a verb. Next, sofa. Not the sofa that you sit on at home. No, sorry, not that one. Yeah, so this is the word sofa. Yeah, again, it's a particle. Yeah. So in the Quran, for example, Allah says, وَلَسَوْفَ يُؤْتِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Sofa, yu'tika. The word after sofa is going to be a verb. And finally, if any word has ta sakina. So ta sakina means this. It's in this shape ta, yeah? Which has a sukoon on there. That's a sukoon. Sukoon basically means the absence of fatha, dhamma, and kasra. So if there's no fatha, no dhamma, no kasra, then you put this kind of circle sign, or sometimes you see like a small crescent like that. Yeah, like a crescent in the moon in the night. So that's called a sukoon. So any word that has this letter at the end, yeah, at, like tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tab, that's a sign that that word is a verb. Yes, makes sense? So these are 4 symbols or 4 signs to show that a word is a verb. Right. So now what's left then? Now we've got the harf which is left. Harf, particle. Yeah. So harf ما لا يصلح معه دليل الاسم ولا دليل الفعل. So simply harf is that which the sign, dalil means sign. Bro, what's the dalil? Yeah. Yeah, it means sign, yeah. Not that, bro, what's the dalil one? Yeah. So this is not asking for Bukhari and Muslim and, yeah, not that. This is dalil as in sign. In other words, a word which cannot take the sign of an ism nor the sign of a fi'l. Yeah. A word that can't take the sign of an ism and a fi'l, what's left? It's got to be a particle. So any word in the Arabic language which cannot take, does not qualify for any of the signs of an ism or a fi'l, then by deduction we can say that this has to be a harf particle. Okay, that's the lesson. Alhamdulillah. So let's recap it and let's look in the Quran for application, because application is very important. So anwa'ul kalam, types of sentences, types of speech. So al-kalam, in the Arabic language, they define kalam as any 3 things. Anything that's uttered. Number 2, made up of 2 or more parts. Number 3, at the end of it, when you finish the sentence makes sense. Yeah. And the sentence has 3 components it's made up of. Isms, number 1, fi'ls, verbs, number 2, and harfs, particles, number 3. But remember, particles, harf in Arabic can be used for alphabetical letters as well. So no. We don't want alphabetical letters. We're talking about particles. Yeah. This is why he says ja'a li ma'nan. A letter that has come for a meaning, which in English we call particles. So ism, what are the signs of an ism? So there's 4 signs of an ism. Yeah, khafd, majroor state. Right? Remember we said about the mum and the teacher and the customer. Yeah, 3 states. Tanween can take double vowels. It can take al, or it's got one of the huruf of jar. So he mentions over here 12 huruf of jar. Okay, so min, ila, an, ala. And then finally fi'l, the signs of fi'l, 4 signs, qad before it, seen before it, so before it, that. Now remember this, fi'l does not need to have one of these signs, because a fi'l can occur and there's none of these signs before it. So just bear that in mind. But these are the common signs that can only be attached to a verb, not to anything else. And a harf is anything that doesn't have a sign of an ism nor the sign of a fi'l. Okay, alhamdulillah. Right. Now what we're going to do is look in the Quran and we're going to apply this. And try questions, you can leave them in the comments, inshallah. If I get time, I'll go over them. Okay, so this is the Quran. Yeah. So now we're going to look at how this applies to Quran. So now look at this. قُلْ أَعُوذُ بِرَبِّ الْفَلَقِ. Okay, so here we have be. Okay, be is mentioned there. Be. So remember be. Oh, this is a preposition. Oh yeah, so prepositions, there's 4 things that can, if they appear, then the word after it has to be an ism. So Rabb is an ism. Oh, al-Falaq. Al. Yeah, so a word that has al on there has to be an ism, has to be a noun. Oh, min is a preposition we learned, so that means shar must be an ism. Okay, let's look for some more. Min again, so that means shar has to be an ism. Oh, ghasiqin has a tanween, that has to be an ism. Okay, again min. Oh, yeah. Oh, fi is a preposition, so that means this word has to be, oh, and it's got another sign as well, so there's 2 signs there and 3 signs. It's a jar. Min sharri, again same thing, hasidin, tanween. Now these are some of the symbol signs. Okay, these are some of the signs in there. Right, if we go over here, we can see even more. Some more signs. So ahad, okay, that's a sign of an ism. The word Allah has an al at the beginning. Yeah, the word Allah is an ism. Al, ism. Okay. Lahu, so la is a preposition. So hu is an ism. Kufuwan. So these are signs of ism, these are. Okay, and the others, lam is a particle. Wa is a particle. Lam is a particle. Wa is a particle. That's a particle. Now this wa is not that wallahi one, okay? This isn't that wallahi one. Okay? The word ar-Rahman, al. Ar-Rahim, al. And it's got majroor state. Okay, kasra, majroor state. So these are all signs of isms. So therefore, all of this, yeah, Qul hu Allahu ahad, all of that is a kalam, because it makes sense when you stop there. Allahu samad is a kalam, it makes sense when you stop there. Lam yalid is a kalam, it makes sense when you stop there. Walam yulad is a kalam, it makes sense when you stop there. Lam yakun lahu kufuwan ahad, all of that is a sentence, is a kalam, because it makes sense. Okay, so I hope you guys understood that. I hope you guys benefited. If you have any questions, you can put your questions in the comments now. I'm just going to answer a few questions, and then I'm going to have to go because time's up. I'm hungry. Jazakallah khair, guys. Inshallah, next week we'll do the next part.